Hello, Gareth here. So in today's lesson we're going to paint this picture. So we're going to paint the cherry blossom. So I saw this scene maybe about a week or two ago. I took a photograph and I took a few photographs, but this one here is the one that we're going to be using. And I suppose the first thing I should say is that this will be a very challenging lesson. However, if you are a beginning watercolor artist, challenging lessons can be good. They can be one of the quickest ways to improve your skills. They really can be. So you might find it very, very good. And it is, I think, quite a beautiful subject as well. So I made many attempts before I got to this one, and I will show them at the end of the video. So you can see also how I struggled with this subject. So I will add a list of materials here. So for example, my paints and also my brushes and also my paper. So you don't need a lot of brushes. I think I used about three brushes, just 3 brushes, and I used about 5, maybe 6 colours. So you don't need a lot of materials. So let's begin then. So I'm using my technical pencil, and I'm going to do a very simple drawing. So I do the embankment coming down here. And then there are these bushes. And here's another one. Another one, and then maybe one more there and one more there, although I can't see them very well. And then I'm going to change the path a little bit to make it more interesting. So we have perspective, and this path slowly gets bigger and bigger. I'm not too happy with this bit here. Just do that again. Maybe that's a bit better. And then I've got a bush here and a bush here. And I'm going to add one here as well. Then let's do the tree trunks. So I don't copy them exactly, just roughly. And I won't do the upper bit because I'm going to use a wax crayon, and wax and pencil don't go well together. The wax crayon will smudge the pencil, and I don't like that. I don't think it looks particularly nice. So I'm only doing the bottom part of the trees, because up here I'll be using a lot of wax crayon. Also here I have to be careful when I do these white flowers not to go over this pencil line with the white crayon. At least not too much. A little is okay. And then there's one here. This tree is actually almost behind this one, but I don't like that. And then maybe there's one here. It gets a little bit confusing in the distance. There's a lot of branches. And then there's one here. And maybe one in the distance, just there. Okay, so I think that is the pencil drawing finished. Oh, no, a figure. So let's keep this super simple, and I want him to have a white top, because then he'll really stick out. And around here I'm going to make it quite dark. And I want to change this path a little so we can see a bit more of this shadow. That's nice. Okay. Yeah, I think we're ready to paint. So I think what I'm going to do first is the cherry blossom itself. This was super difficult to do. So I use a combination of red and a little bit of blue, but only a tiny bit of blue. It's so challenging. I'm really going to water this down, and then maybe a tiny bit of blue. Oh, and I forgot the most important thing, can you believe it? The wax crayon. I can't believe I forgot that. So I'm going to do a bit here. I just gently rub this on. But sometimes I'll go a little bit stronger because I like the effect. And then here I'm going to do little dots. And then here. And once again, a few dots. So the tricky thing is that you can't see where you're drawing. So you have to have a good imagination. And I definitely don't want to go over him. And I'm doing some cross hatching here a little bit. Hopefully it will look nice. I'm still learning how to use a wax crayon, but I'm enjoying the results that I'm getting. An alternative would be masking fluid, but I don't like the smell, and I just don't always like how it looks. I don't always think it looks so great. Just me. It's personal preference. And I'm going to have a little bit coming down here. So I'm going over the line, so it won't look that nice. I shouldn't have done a perfect line. I should have done a broken line with gaps in it, but I learned something. And maybe little bits around these branches, but try not to smudge too much. You will end up smudging a bit. And I want to do a few strong marks, because in one of my previous ones, which is here, I'll just show you, I've got these marks here, and although they look a little bit unnatural, I think they're very nice. I think they're very, very powerful. And for some reason, when I did the wax crayon again, you can't really see those marks, although I think this looks good too. I like that textural effect a lot. So I'm going to try and do some areas where I really go hard. It's a bit scary. I'm really not sure how it's going to work out. Well, if I completely screw it up, you won't watch this. You won't be watching this video. I can assure you of that. But hopefully it will work. Okay, so finished that. So now we're going to do the blossom. So I start off with quite a nice red, and I just don't want to do too much. Can you see that? I'm using my pointed oval brush, by the way, and that's looking quite nice, but I think too dark. And I'm coming down across the embankment line. So I'm just fluttering across the paper. But something I'm trying to remember as I do this is to leave big white spaces. It's starting to look beautiful, I think. But I've done a little bit too much, I think. Might even do a little bit of splatter. One of my problems is that I'm just not daring enough. So doing a bit of splatter is a good thing. I'm being a bit daring. Okay, now let's make a slightly cooler version, but not too cool, and just do a few little cooler bits, maybe even more. But I'm trying not to go into any white areas. I'm painting over the red areas. Maybe that looks quite nice. And you can see the little white marks left by the wax crayon. So I'm squinting my eyes now so that I can just see the overall pattern. And maybe that's enough. I don't want any lines, which will look a bit unnatural. So I'm just having a look around. Is there anything that looks like a line? and then I'm getting rid of it. Okay, and then at the bottom, maybe around here, there might be a bit more. Around there. It's going to get really dark around this figure later on. Okay, there we go. That's the first bit. Now I'm going to move on to the embankment. So maybe I should let that dry. I'm not sure. I'm using yellow ochre and a touch of my light blue. I think it's cobalt turquoise light, but it's a bit of a mouthful. And then down here, I'm using my imidazolone yellow. Who made that name? And a touch of this light yellow, cobalt turquoise, making a lovely spring green colour here. These are all permanent colours. And then just going in between these bushy areas. Try to leave some white gaps. And just spray that. Yeah, I don't like that. I should have left it to dry. So what I will do, and had a hard edge, that would have been better. So this is a fix it technique. I just wipe that out and go over it with some yellow ochre. Like that. I can hide that later with some blue that will be for the sky. And then just a few little dibs and dabs. Trying to leave the white though. I probably didn't leave enough there. I like it. Okay. Try to leave some white gaps. Yeah. And then let's do the path. So the path is a very pale, almost rosy colour. Well, not exactly rosy. This with a red with a touch of yellow ochre, and then watered down. What do you call this? Like a skin colour. A peachy colour. There we go. should make it a little bit watery in the distance because things get fainter in the distance. And I need a touch of green here. That's it. And in the foreground, I'm just going to, strengthen this colour. Yellow ochre, red, a lot stronger. It will fade off. I think that looks nice. There's still a lovely feeling of lightness within the painting. I haven't covered all the white space. That's a big relief. And I'll darken this even more. So yellow ochre, touch of red, and even a touch of blue maybe. Dab my brush a bit so I get a bit of a thicker, less watery mix. Then just dibbing and dabbing like that. Blending it in. I think that looks good. Let's just spray. Remember, never spray directly, spray horizontally and let the drops fall. Okay, let's leave that to dry. This has now dried and I'm going to do the blue sky. So for this, I'm using my long, thin bamboo brush. And I'm getting this cobalt turquoise light, and I might add a touch of this phthalo blue red shade, and here we go. So first I'll do the top part and then later I'll do the lower part using a lighter blue. We need a bit of gradation. Yeah, it's looking quite nice. And then for that lighter blue, and it's a good idea to take your time with this. And not overdo it. And now just a few very small touches. And it's looking good. And I think maybe that will do. Maybe around here. There's a bit more. Yeah, I think that's looking quite nice. And here it gets really dense, so we don't have much blue sky showing through. Okay, next part, this bank. So I want some texture here, but it has to be done very delicately. I'm not so good at delicate. I will do my best. Yellow ochre, a touch of this blue. I think that's a bit too dark. Okay, and then I dab it here because I want a dry brush effect. I also have to move the brush quite quickly across the surface of the paper to get that dry brush effect. And I think that will do. Yeah. Okay, next I'm going to do the shadows among the bushes and the path below. So for that, I'm going to use a light mix of blue and alizarin crimson. And maybe a lot of alizarin crimson. That looks quite dark, too dark. Okay, let's begin with the red and add a touch of blue. And a bit more. Yeah. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe a bit too warm. Add a bit more blue. And make it a touch more watery. And now I'm going to do the shadows across the path. So I have to look very carefully at my photograph, and then, oh, that's a nice colour. You've got these lovely patches. That's quite nice. Now I'm going to go a bit darker. Whoops. And add a tiny bit of yellow ochre. More blue, more yellow ochre, and let's spray it. Take my clips off. Now I only want a little bit of this. So I'm squinting my eyes. And looking very, very carefully. Another spray, and then I'm going to get my bamboo brush and pure water, wipe it on the rag first, and then do marks like this. timing is really important. When I first did this, it didn't work, but now it's beginning to work. And I'm going to get a bit of yellow. And apply this here, just to light it up a bit. And maybe over here too. So we've got some lovely texture here from using the crayon. And doing this yellow, adding this yellow, has really worked out even better than I thought it would. Very happy about that. Okay, so I think it's about time to leave it and let it dry, and then we'll do the next thing, not the last thing, not yet, which will be the trees, and they have to be done very carefully because there's a lot of like you can't see the whole shape of the tree, so we have to be careful not to paint the whole, all the trunk and all the branches, because we'll have like some of the branches will be covered with cherry blossom, so we've got bits of branches and bits of trunk, so we have to paint it like that. And we have to be very aware of that, because if we just paint the whole trunk and all the branches, it will look very, very strange. But anyway, that's the next stage. Let's leave this to dry. Now it has dried, and I'm going to paint the trunks, the tree trunks and the branches. So for that I need a dark mix. So I'm going to get some blue. I'm going to get some red and a touch of yellow ochre. And where you've got blue areas, you want to show the branch continuing. Sometimes in the other areas as well, a little. But it's very important to have gaps. it can look a bit strange, but that really is how the tree looks. And you can use your finger a little to correct edges, or just to blend it in a little better. There we go. I think that's quite nice. Let's do the next one. Blend that in. And that might be enough there. Whoops. So I'm just having a look now at my photo and comparing it to this one, my painting, and I just feel like it needs a little bit more, but I am worried about overdoing it. So I'm going to leave it like that for now, and then I can always add later. It's easy to add, it's more difficult to take away. So around the figure I'm going to have a darkish area. So I'm going to begin with a purple. That's just my previous mix. The blue, the light blue and the red. Have to be very careful not to go over the white shirt. Okay, and then soften this without moving the paint that is around the trees. Oh, I should have let them dry a bit more, but there you go. And then I'm going even darker. So this is good because we've got a real big contrast now between this white shirt and the background. If you can, that's what you want with your focal point. You want high contrast without hopefully it looking too unnatural. Although I think a bit unnatural is okay. At least for me. So once again, I'm squinting and I'm checking if it looks okay. Maybe I've done too much. So I'm going to wipe away some. And now I think that's it. I think that's quite good. And you can see how the eye will be drawn in through these almost like lines here. And the path, which is like a line. And then we've got this dark area and then the white shirt in front. So this is all leading the eye towards this focal point. So let's leave that to dry. This has now dried and I'm going to paint the figure. So I'm going to use this dark colour here, which is basically blue, alizarin crimson and a touch of yellow ochre. And then here the head, then I'm wiping my brush on the rag because I want a dry brush effect. Maybe I got it a little. That will do though, good enough. And it's looking fairly nice. Then some shading, so the light blue, a touch of red. Too strong. Still too strong. Yeah, maybe that will do. And shadow. There we go. Now it has dried and we can do the finishing touches. So I'm going to do the face on the figure. So I need a touch of yellow ochre and alizarin crimson. This is a very thick mix. So I think that's the figure done. And then here I'm going to do some splatter. Oh, maybe first I should try and add some light to the side of the tree here. And what I will do is just wet this side like this, and then get a tissue and just take a little out. Very, very simple. And just a little. And here too. And here as well. This one. And finally this one. Then the final thing is to get some white paint. I like titanium white, and I'm using this long thin bamboo brush, and I'm just going to add a few little touches, flowers. I'm not sure what these are, but they're very, very beautiful. And then over here, make them different shapes. And all the time I'm squinting my eyes so I see what it looks like overall. I think that's done. Okay, maybe not. Okay, and then on the figure, maybe some highlights. And finally, maybe some splatter over the trees. Cover up some of the trunks a little bit, partially, and it will look maybe a little bit more natural, like the real thing. And maybe we've got like a few of the petals falling down. Yeah, I think that will do. The final thing is to sign it. So I use the same brush, and I think I'll use white paint too. Need to get a really thin point. Maybe that will do. They're not too close to the corner. And there we go, GM, Gareth Naylor. So, finished. And yeah, I'm quite happy with it. So, next, I'll do a review. Okay, review time. So overall, I'm very happy with this painting. I think the cherry blossom really looks very effective, and it's got that lovely lightness, but at the same time there is some shadowy areas within there. So it really does look like the real thing. And overall the picture's got a lovely lightness and a brightness to it, and the colours work well, and it's got a nice feeling. So let's look at each bit. So first of all, the trees. So I'm delighted with the cherry blossom, and I'm also very happy with and these little textural things. I'm happy with the shading. I also like the sky. I think the sky works well. Maybe it could be a bit more bluer. Maybe my blue got a little mixed up with the red, and so it's slightly, not purplish, but not pure blue. So maybe that's a slight criticism. And also, although I'm really happy with the branches, maybe these trunks could do with a bit more of a highlight along the side. So maybe I need to paint them first with a kind of light colour and then add some dark shading to them. But I don't want to overcomplicate things. So especially as this is a demo lesson, but if I was doing it again just for myself, I might paint the trunks that is, a lighter colour, and then add shading to them, this dark colour. With the branches, I do them the same colour they are here. And I'm quite happy with that bank. Yeah, I think it's definitely passable. I'm happy with these bushes. maybe I could have gone a bit more crazy with the wax crayon and got an even stronger textural effect, and that's what I will do next time, because I think that could make it look even better. And the path, I'm really happy with that path. It really looks very, very beautiful. The shapes are nice, the colours are nice, the tone is nice. And the figure I think is definitely passable. Not great, but it works and it looks pretty good. And I love this darkness behind the figure. It really helps to bring the figure out. And that's everything really. Here are all the paintings I've done that have led to this final one that you've seen in the video. And this is the very first one. And perhaps it's not too bad actually. So yeah, I'm quite surprised. At first I was disappointed with it, but yeah, maybe not too bad. And then here is the second one, and I think this is a bit worse. I don't know why. The figure is not very good. Yep. And then this is the third one, and I think this one was too dark, especially this path and even the trees. So, and just a little bit too complicated. Although saying that, it's not too bad. And then here is another one, and I've changed the path this time. So I used a different photo. And although I think this is quite nice, it's a bit too complicated. And here I write little comments like good things and bad things that I need to improve. And here I tried to do some kind of texture on the tree. When I originally did it, I didn't think it looked that good, but now I actually quite like it. So it is good to come back to your paintings and have another look and think again, because your opinion will actually change. So then the next one. So I think what this painting shows you is that just because you have another go, you don't automatically get better. I think this is the worst one, sadly. What I tried to do here was, because I saw that the cherry blossom covers some of the branches and trunks, I tried to wipe them out, and it didn't work. Yeah, I tried to wipe them out with a brush and water, but doesn't look very good. I could have gone over it with some white paint, but yeah. Oh, sorry, this might actually be the worst one. I did start using wax crayon here, and I was quite happy with the textural effects that I got. But overall, I don't think this picture is so great. And then this one I think is good. And again, the wax crayon, and I think the textural effects are really, really good. And I probably should have finished off the figure, but I think the main thing about doing this painting was just to try and get the cherry blossom right. And so that leads us to, oh, maybe there's one more, to this one. So as you can see, I did a lot. And I think this is good, but I didn't go hard enough with the wax crayon, and so I didn't get these lovely textural effects. So yeah. And here is the final one. And I think this is very good, and I'm very happy with it. Although that very first painting, it wasn't too bad either. I don't know if practice makes better. I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. So I just wanted to show you all those attempts to let you know just how challenging painting cherry blossom is. And So when you have a go, and if you end up with a disappointing result, please don't be, how can I put it? Please don't be too upset, because this is a really challenging subject. And I hope you can see from all these paintings I've done, I'm speaking from experience here. I've been painting for 20 years and this is challenging. So, and I had to do many paintings before I finally did one that I'm really happy with. So please don't be too hard on yourself, and also just enjoy the process, have fun, and please remember that doing challenging lessons will make you a much better artist. It will really improve your skills. It's one of the best ways to get better quicker, to do challenging paintings. So please remember that. And there's always the chance, even as a beginner, that you'll do a painting that's really brilliant. I had that experience now and again, and so will you. It doesn't happen that often, but it does happen, and when it does, it's a wonderful feeling. Anyway, please have a go. Please like, please subscribe, and comments would be positive comments, or I don't know, like comments about what you might like me to paint in the future. Just things like that would be very, very helpful. So I'd really appreciate any comments, and I'll be back again soon with another painting lesson. Bye for now.